All right, so the topic of today is going to be the quarter life crisis. Okay, that's my effect. The quarter life crisis. Not me trying to do a dramatic YouTube intro, but if you don't know what the quarter life crisis is, I'm about to give you a quick Google definition, okay? In popular psychology, a quarter life crisis is a crisis involving anxiety over the duration and quality of one's life. So for me, this really hit recently, but this can happen. Oh, and I'm 28. I'll be 29 soon. But this can happen anywhere between your mid 20s and really like early to mid 30s. So it's called the quarter life crisis, and it's pretty much just when you have that epiphany that like you don't know what the heck you're doing with your life. And this isn't even like geared just towards people who like feel like they don't have a purpose. This is more so like anybody. So you can have a career, you cannot have a career, you can have a family, you cannot have a family, you can be married, you cannot be married. This is like both sides of the spectrum. So whether you're that friend who feels like you're not doing anything, or you're that friend who's doing everything, a quarter life crisis can hit, and you can just feel like outside of like all of these boxes and these titles, who am I? Like, seriously, who am I outside all of that? And it can be really scary because you can have this big anxious, or I don't want to say panic attack, but for some you might experience that. But it's like a, oh my God.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I've been running and running, and I've been on this hamster wheel for so long. And I really feel like I don't know who I am or what I'm doing. And it can freak you out. And so when it hit me, it took me a minute to realize it hit me. But then once I realized that was going on, I was like, hold on. I think I know what this is. This is that quarter life crisis thing. And sure enough, I looked it up, and that's what it was. And between quarter life crisis and the imposter syndrome, which let me give you a definition on imposter syndrome. If this is you, let me know. But the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. I was going through that as well. So between imposter syndrome and quarter life crisis, everything just pretty much crumbled, but in the best way. So imposter syndrome is basically like when you've achieved so many things, but you feel like an imposter. You don't feel like you're really deserving or you're legit. You almost feel like a fraud just because you doubt yourself and you have a hard time seeing yourself as this person that has done all of these things. So for me, I was doing so much with my career, but I felt like, sorry, I don't know if I got a burp or a yawn. I felt like I wasn't really on the level in my mind. I'm like, I'm not that great. You know what I'm saying? Like, am I really worthy of these things? And that was rolling over into my personal life to where I started doubting my motherhood. I started doubting who I was as a woman. I started doubting my feminine energy. I started doubting, was I worthy of a relationship? I just started realizing that I had imposter syndrome all across the board, right? And being such a goal-driven person, it is so funny because a lot of people will say, oh my gosh, you're doing such a good job, you're so successful. But I personally was starting to doubt all of that. And then on top of that, I was doubting who I was outside of all of that. And that's when I took a moment to just stop, pause, reflect, and just be still. And during that moment, I realized that I was worthy and I was amazing and I was on the right path. But I realized I was not present. I was always worried about my future. And that's where I was messing up. I was not enjoying and celebrating the small or the big wins. And I was not being present in my day-to-day routine. And so during this process, in this period for the last probably about 5 to 6 weeks, I've been really trying to get to a point where I can be present. And being goal driven is hard because I'm not used to being still. I'm not used to just enjoying my day. I'm used to hustling and bustling and looking at my planner. What's next? What's next? What's next? But to be almost at 30 years old and I feel like outside of all of that, who am I? Let alone am I completely happy within? That's where the problem was, because I was thinking to myself, outside of what I do for others, outside of being goal driven, outside of hustling and having a career, who am I outside of those things? And do I know how to sit with myself and just enjoy my own presence in the quietude of my own aura? Like, do I really know how to do that? And I didn't. And so really just in the last couple of days, and I had this moment where I started crying because I was like, oh my God, I feel present. I feel like I'm enjoying the moment. Rather it's just watching a movie with my kids and not being worried about what I got to do next, or just not beating myself up for having a day where I don't have a lot to do. Still quiet, boring days. Those are the things that I've had a hard time being comfortable with. In doing shadow work, I realized that this stemmed from a childhood situation, just growing up in a household where I was literally raised to be goal driven, and if you were sitting still for too long, that was a problem. Like, what do you got going? What's the move? What's on your agenda? And that made me feel like if I wasn't being productive, then I was taking up space. And that's something that I'm breaking myself out of, and I'm realizing that I still have purpose when I'm being still. My existence is enough. And me realizing that has not only boosted my confidence, but it has made me realize my value to a place where I realize that the only person who didn't know my value was me. And when things were going the way they were going and I felt like I was being taken advantage of, it was because the people around me knew I didn't know my value. So I say to you, if you are going through something, I don't care if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. It's really everybody going through something, okay? we aren't going to limit this just to a quarter life crisis. If you feel like you don't know what you're doing or you don't know where you're going in life, stop beating yourself up. You are where you need to be. And you have to get comfortable being where you are so you can embrace that, enjoy that, and appreciate that and have gratitude for that. And then you can work on moving forward. But if you're that friend who's not married or doesn't have kids or doesn't know what they want to do career-wise, it's okay, because it's not your purpose is not just in what you can provide. It's not just in what you can show. Are you comfortable with yourself? Somebody said this. I want to say maybe it was another YouTuber. It was a random video on a trip. So I can't even, it was another YouTube video. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to find her because it was a random video. But she said somebody else told her that if you only woke up with the things that you wrote down that you were grateful for, would you be happy? And that's deep because there's so many things that we take for granted. And believe it or not, I think one of the biggest things we take for granted is ourselves. We show up for everybody else, but we don't show up for ourselves. And we got to stop doing that, seriously. If you're a content creator, you're a mother, if you're working at a hospital, if you're working at Dollar General, whatever, we show up for those places. We hold ourselves accountable for somebody else's dream, but we don't hold ourselves accountable for ourselves. And that's where I feel like I've got to start showing up at. I've been showing up for everything else but myself. And that's something that I'm no longer going to let fall by the wayside, because I realized that if I kept making myself stretch too thin, nobody's getting the best of me. And I had a friend tell me that she only pours from her overflow. And that changed my life, because I thought to myself, if I'm happy and I'm pouring into myself, then others will be happy just from being around me and being around the energy that I'm projecting out into the world. So I got to take care of me. So with this YouTube channel, I don't know if I'm going to be coming with the same type of content I come on other channels, because I just personally feel like with YouTube, this is the one place where nobody's tracking me down from somewhere else. And I'm going to start fresh on here and just be myself. That doesn't mean that my other platforms are not me, but they are already naturally niched and designed a certain way. And that's fine. I like them the way they are. They're not doing anything. They're not bothering anybody. But this is my first time really talking as myself and not representing a brand. The brand this time is me, okay? And with that, I'm just going to be honest. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going. I'm in between careers. I'm in between dreams. I'm in between thoughts. I don't even really want a title. I just want to be free for a minute, okay? And even though I don't have much right now, because I'm pausing and I'm taking time to reflect, I feel like I'm still abundant. And I know that things are still working their way. Things are still happening on my behalf. My name is ringing in rooms right now that I don't even know about, because I'm taking the time to be true to myself, so I can be true not only to my audience, but to the community and to any other places and platforms that I serve. And so, like I said, if this resonates with you, do not down talk yourself. Actually, I have these chakra cards, and I always just pick a random one, unless when I meditate, if I see a certain color, I'll pick a card that resonates with a certain chakra. Like if I see green, I'll be like, okay, let me check in with a heart chakra card and see something like that. But these cards always have a beautiful message. So this is so funny. This one's on the top. This sounds like this is pretty spot on with what we just talked about. So this is a heart chakra card, 4th chakra. And it says, radiate warmth and sincerity. Or is that sincerity? I am open to sharing, accepting, communicating, and connecting with others as I focus on this moment, not the past or the future. A smile, a kind-hearted way of speaking, or a hug goes a long way towards uplifting others. I offer care and support where I can without rescuing. Woo! Now that, let me say that again. I offer care and support where I can without rescuing. I nurture and respect my relationships. That is a powerful affirmation. Wow. I just want to touch base on this really quick before I go. I offer care and support where I can without rescuing. You can't you can't change anybody, okay? And really, when you try to change somebody, which, take it from me as somebody who has in the past been extremely controlling, you're really just projecting, because you're probably trying to change things in them that you don't want to change in yourself. And it might not be the exact same thing, but it could be the exact same concept. For example, you have a partner that's doing something that's irritating you, but you're not taking the time to work on the thing that is irritating them. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, you're also trying to work on somebody else. You're not working on yourself. You can't rescue nobody. The only person you can rescue is yourself, okay? And you got to take that time to do that. And if that means pausing and reflecting, do that. You're not crazy if you got to quit that job. You're not crazy if you need to move to another city. You're not crazy for cutting people off, because I'm telling you, if you lose yourself, you don't have nothing. So I offer care and support where I can without rescuing. That's what I'm doing right now. And I nurture and respect my relationships. Sometimes respecting a relationship is setting boundaries and understanding where that relationship plays a role in your life, okay? You cannot continue to keep pretending or being delusional about what roles people play in your life, because you're projecting. Okay, you're gonna have to tap in and see what is it that you're not focusing on within yourself that's making you feel like you can control and manipulate the people in your life. If something doesn't align with you, stop telling yourself that it does, because you don't want to lose that person. If it doesn't align with you, then set boundaries. Okay, that's respect. The boundaries. You have to set the boundaries. And last but not least, don't be afraid to say no. Don't feel afraid to say no. You don't have to say yes to everything. Set those boundaries. No. Hey, can you do that? No. Hey, can I borrow? No. Hey, we need you to do. No. And once you start saying no, be prepared to have a hard time going back to saying yes. Set those boundaries, y'all, and understand that you are where you need to be, okay? You have purpose. You have a plan. You are worthy. You are powerful. You are abundant. You are protected. You are safe. You are loved. There's hope in the future, but we are going to enjoy the present, okay? And that's all I got. Yeah. That's all I got. So I don't have a closer, but I appreciate y'all for listening, and we're gonna tap back in with another video real soon. Peace.